So my name is Victoria and I am here at the Nansen Ski Club to give you all a little bit of a lesson in how to classic ski. The first thing I think is important for all of us to know is what makes a classic ski as opposed to an alpine ski. So the hallmarks of a classic ski are that there are no metal edges. So those of you that are used to alpine skiing will feel quite a bit of a difference because there are no metal edges on your ski. And also you can see that they're quite a bit longer. They've got this little shovel tip here in the front in order to glide over the ski as you're on flat land. And they're quite a bit thinner. Some people call them spaghetti skis because they feel so thin. And also you have this little, most classic skis, the beginner classic skis, have this fish scale pattern down at the bottom. And they call it fish scales because it's actually lasered into the base of the ski itself. And that is what's going to help you with your forward momentum and your forward propulsion. What else can I tell you? But there's all kinds of different classic skis. These are a little bit of a racier classic ski. You don't really need anything quite like this to come out here to the Nordic trails up at Nansen, but they fit quite nicely. You see right here, they do a great job of grooming and making these classic tracks. So your ski is going to fit right into that classic track, like so. And you can see that because these are a little bit thinner, they've got a little bit more wiggle room. So of course they're going to glide a little bit faster and a little bit smoother than some of the other skis that I'm going to show you today as well. So let's stop talking and start moving. Okay, so we got to figure out how to get into our classic skis. So mine are quite easy. If you look at my boot, I've got a little bar right here. This is called the SNS system. There's actually two bars right here. I'm not going to worry too much about the bottom bar, but do you see this top bar right here? I'm going to go ahead and there's a little groove right here in my ski, and that is going to go just like you're on high heels. You're going to put your, I'm going to plan on it, putting that little bar right into that groove, and I'm going to push that lever down. And before I take off, I just want to make sure that I'm attached. Some of the other classic skis that you have, the bindings, it's going to be more of a push-in type thing, so it's called an automatic binding. This is a little bit of a racier binding, so you're going to click in, you're going to hear a click, click, and that's how you know that you're in. But again, just like kick it and make sure that you're in. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. The technique that I'm going to demonstrate right now is called the diagonal stride. The diagonal stride is the technique that you're going to do on level, flat surfaces. It's the one that you see in the Olympics when you see them moving side to side, back and forth. It's really no different than running. But the difference is you're running on skis. So you have to get used to the idea of that running, but having a little bit of glide behind it can be somewhat intimidating to people. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and about how to nail those fish scales underneath there in order to get yourself that forward momentum, to push yourself forward and have the best ski day yet. So we're going to cruise on over. Can you ski on with these skis on the corduroy? Sure you can, but what's going to happen is we're going to be talking about a lot about gears, almost like we're in a vehicle. We're going to be talking about gears, we're going to be talking about power, and we're going to be talking about efficiency of motion. So those are the things that you're going to hear me say. And you're also going to hear me talk about common things that I see people doing that might be able to be done in a different way or in a more efficient way. So we're going to talk about that right now. So the tracks that you have here are set so just to create efficiency of motion so that your energy doesn't slide from side to side out. And so we're going to get started. So I have Sean filming me from the side because I want to talk about correct body posture for classic ski. It almost is kind of bad posture. Our energy and our power really comes from our hip area and from our core. So you want to get into your typical athletic stance, so kind of ready for anything that's going to be coming at you. knees bent slightly, and then your hips are going to be somewhat forward because this is where your power is going to be coming from, and you want everything in a nice line all the way from your hips, all the way down through your legs and to your boots, and then engaging those fish scales that are underneath. So your hips are going to be slightly forward and your shoulders are going to be hunched. I mean, this looks like bad posture, except when I start moving, you're going to see that it makes sense, because they're also going to be using that power from that powerful shoulder as well once I start incorporating in the poles. So just so that you can see, so hips forward, shoulders forward, and then I'm going to be doing this motion side to side. So when this ski goes forward, this arm is also going to be going forward. So right ski, left arm, like so. Just shifting my weight side to side in order to engage those fish scales. Looks a little bit like this. So to get started, tiny bites, tiny bites. Do you see how I'm bouncing up and down a little bit in order to get those fish scales engaged? It's like you get the best song that you can think of in your head and just groove. Choose your best song. Whoops, gonna get crusty here a little bit. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back at Sean so you can see what I look like from the front. That's the other thing when I'm doing these lessons. You're going to hear me talking a lot about songs, about mantras, about grooves, about tunes, because I really think it helps. So eyes forward, shoulders forward, hips forward. Just getting those fish scales engaged. You can see my nose. My nose should be going over the ski that's going forward. Oh. Just like so. So it's a bouncy step. It's a bouncy step. And the reason why is you want to engage those fish scales and you want to get like a really cool groove in your mind. And look forward all the time. The minute you start looking at your skis, your weight starts to not get to where it needs to be. So always looking forward, smiling, and have a really cool groove in your mind. That's all. All right, so now we got the footwork straightened out. You know, you got your diagonal stride, you got a good groove. Now we're going to add in our poles. The first thing I guess I want to emphasize is that your poles aren't really for balance. They're really only intended for forward motion and to help you. We're going to start talking about efficiency of motion now and about crunching our abs in order to be more efficient. So you get your poles. Oftentimes what I see is the poles swing and putting the poles like out this way. And that's actually not helpful. That's kind of using them more for canes or for crutches or something like that, maybe to feel more balanced, but they really should always be placed behind you. Classic poles, when you're getting size for classic poles, they should come anywhere between your armpit and the top of your shoulder, kind of like that little nook right in there. That's where they should come up to, because you need, now the shoulder work is going to make sense, you need them to be short enough so that they're going to plant, that they're not so short that you're over poling and not so long that you're more upright here. So that's kind of the good nook. You think of that little nook in your shoulder, and that's where they should be. So I'm going to get into my little track here, and poles should be planted. I bet you there's probably about 4 to 6 inches between your heel and where the pole plant should happen. Not out here, not in front here, not back here, kind of by your heel. And anyways, let's just do it. So this is what I'm gonna do. So forward motion, do you see? So I still got the groove going, but it's almost like I've got a cup of water and I'm throwing that cup of water ahead. So I'm crunching. crunching, 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 crunching. You've got the power of your shoulder, you've got the power of your core helping with that forward motion. I'm going to come back at Sean so he can get another little look at that. So I've got a slight uphill. You're definitely going to be able to see me do some crunches here. So crunch, 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 twig, crunch, 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 crunch. So what I'm feeling when I'm doing that is if I was going faster, I definitely would feel my abs working, but I also feel like a little twitch in my hips because I'm trying to make that ski as efficient as possible. So you're going to feel, you want to definitely not be in the middle. You want to be switching side to side, and you can feel that in your kind of your behind when you see that. And if you see other skiers, you can see the Olympic skiers, you can see they're almost like a little fish swimming. You can see their behind moving kind of side to side. That's it. That's what we got. That's the diagonal stride. So what are the key points? What are the takeaways here? The takeaways are get a nice bouncy step going, shift your weight side to side, do a little bit of a crunch, always look forward, have a smile on your face. Just the last thing I want to touch on is, like I said, sometimes I see things, and after all these years of doing lessons, kind of the one thing that I see is people, once they get going, they do something a little. Remember I said before to do little tiny steps, like baby steps, like so. Sometimes what I see is this power move where the skis are going way beyond where they should be. And the key really is to keep the power condensed, keep the power localized. When you get splayed out like this, you're losing that energy out over a period of space, and it's lost. And what's the big deal of that? Well, the big deal is that you probably will get tired a lot easier, and your day won't be as much fun or as successful. So that's what we're all about here, having a great day for you, your family. Anybody can do this, and just keeping you out there longer.